What's up, guys? Today I thought that I would revive one of everyone's favorite shows that I did a little while ago, and that was I pick some terms that I hear in everyday internet conversation, and I go to Urban Dictionary and I find out what kind of definition it is that the website gives it. Urban Dictionary in some is pretty much like this little website where they take commonly used phrases and words on the internet and they gave it their own little definition and version of it. So I thought that it was entertaining, and there's a lot of words that I didn't know and that I have never formally looked up the definition of them. And last time we did this, it was absolutely entertaining. So I thought that I would go ahead and pick up from there. And last time in the comments, someone suggested that I look up the relatively controversial and sensitive term known as tranny. So I am going to do that. And of course, as we can imagine, it means transvestite, transsexual, transparency, or transit van. And the example definition in a sentence that they give is, fuck, I have left the trannies of the trannies in the back of the tranny. Which, when you think about it, that doesn't really make sense, but I guess to someone out there it makes sense. For me, it personally doesn't. That just shows how much I do not think about this stuff. Another word that I was seeing a lot back in the day, but more particularly so in actual live conversations, was swell. Like, oh yeah, all is swell on my end. So when I look up the word swell, like SWELL, it says fantastic, great, wonderful. Gee, wouldn't it be swell if Mike won the lottery? So pretty much it means something that's just great. And they add the letter S in front of it, I guess to say super, super well. I don't know. If I had to be guided by context, that's how I would define it. Just like prefixes can help you a lot. So that's what that reminds me of. Another word that I remember hearing a lot and seeing a lot in the internet was the word banging. And I am looking it up, and it pretty much means when something or someone is extremely good, tasty, hot, sexy, anything great, these Cheetos are banging. And that is exactly how I would hear the word being used. And of course, there is the more, what can I say, dirty definition of it, but you guys can figure. You don't need me to tell you details on that one. Another popular one, of course, is a super old and classic one, which was LMAO, which mentally I read as El Mao, and that is, it usually means laughing my ass off, but if you're a depressed little child like me, then maybe for you it will mean laughing my anxiety off. Now that, I gotta admit, I have never thought about that before. I have never heard someone use that last part off, like the latter, laughing my anxiety off. So that's interesting. It makes a lot of sense, especially for modern days when everyone just keeps expressing how anxious and depressed or upset or whatever they are. Like, this is a very vocal society when it comes to emotions. So it's pretty cool to see that. And the example sentence is asterisk confused. So are you laughing or just depressed? And I think that's a pretty interesting way to put that into a sentence. Of course, another word that made the list is thought, and that is THOT. And of course, I know what it stands for, but let's officially look up a definition. And that is in all caps, and it says pronounced thought, taken from 3, 1, 2. The original version of thought, before someone came to think it meant something else, it was brought to you by ThoughtCon, a hacking conference based in Chicago, Illinois, USA, which started in 2010. For those that aren't believers, check the ThoughtCon website or Wikipedia. Damn, ThoughtCon, absolutely badass. And then those thought E's are really some of the best hackers in the world. And then what guys call girls in schools that send out nudes and porn of themselves, an acronym for that hoe over there. And yeah, that is actually the definition that I knew it for way back in the day before we all grew up and matured some. Another word that I see thrown everywhere, but I have never actually officially looked up the definition of, is meme. We all know what those are, but the official definition is the cure of depression. Memes cured my depression is the example sentence, and then it's not a word, it's a lifestyle. Hey, did you see that boy meme? It's so funny. Get out of my house. Those are the example sentences. And I think that's interesting. And then a third definition of it is the real reason why most high schoolers do not chug a gallon of bleach when they get home. What do you think about the new Kermit memes? Dude, those are so good. I dropped my bottle of Drano and grabbed some Lepton. Interesting use of them in a sentence. Another word I would see used a lot is, of course, roast, when you are being roasted or when you are roasting someone. And the official definition that the amazing Urban Dictionary gives it is to tell someone off with a badass comeback. Someone says, kill yourself. And then, if I wanted to kill myself, I would climb your ego and jump to your IQ. That's actually pretty neat. Pretty neat. And then to humorously mock or humiliate someone with a well timed joke, a diss or comeback. The aforementioned joke, diss, or comeback would also be known as sizzle, and that is when Gonzo got drunk, he made fun of John's ugly ass suit. It was a delicious roast. So, yeah, that's usually. I don't even talk about roasting when it comes to foods. I always use it to describe the term of me having a witty comeback for someone. Another term that seems like a very basic everyday English term is destroyed, but of course that has an alternative meaning in informal speech. So let's see what this says. The term used to describe the state of mind and body once a person has immersed themselves in an utter state of destruction caused by an excess of drugs and alcohol or any other form of destruction. What you say when you're getting really stoned, yeah, that's the one that I was looking for. A state of utter defeat, when someone often used to exaggerate one's victory or loss in competitive sports or gaming. That is more often how I personally use it. Hey man, I absolutely got destroyed during that game of whatever. So, yeah, being thoroughly and utterly defeated, annihilated, state of fatigue, exhaustion, no state of awareness, lack of strength. More synonyms. And then finally, this should be a funny one. I hope it is a funny one in the dictionary, but it is the word MILF. And honestly, I did not learn the meaning of this one until only 3 years ago. So I think that it's worth mentioning. And MILF apparently is an acronym, and it is for Mom, I would like to fuck, or Mature, I would like to fuck. A MILF is any woman with children who has men that want to have sexual intercourse with her. The term is also sometimes used to describe women above a certain age, 30 or 40, plus, who are not mothers themselves but are deemed to be sexually attractive and also have men that would like to partake in sexual intercourse with them. That's pretty interesting. MILF also stands for the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, who are based in the southern Philippines and were created in 1978. Their primary goals are to establish an independent homeland governed under Sharia law for the Moro peoples It should be noted that I did not even know of the existence of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front before today, and that in everyday conversation, MILF is far more likely to mean the first definition and not the latter. And that I can second because I did not know that at all. So I'm so glad that that's not a term that we're just casually tossing around. Well, guys, I hope that you find my picks interesting. Was there any word that I looked up that you had never thought about looking up? Did you know the meaning to all of these, or are you like me and you're finding that when they're used in context, that's when you can find out the definition? Or did you just somehow look them up back in the day? Let me know. I'm always interested in knowing how everyone